I'm sitting next to a guy who is an investor in the CIA's investment fund. Did you know the CIA has an investment fund?
Welcome to the Friday Flow with Jordan and let's go. Fact news and all the trends. Tune in now with your friends.
Happy IPO Thursday, Will.
Happy Chime Day.
It's Chime Day. Congratulations, Chime. You have IPO'd successfully. Nice little pop. Love it. My wife works there.
Yeah, you love the first day pop. That's great.
Love
I wasn't
it.
sure when it was actually going to happen. I was checking my Robinhood account, and it was just like zero for a while. I
Yeah.
was like, have they stalled this thing?
Well, they definitely knew it was happening today. They had a party at their office starting at 5 a.m. So I was texting in. I know a few people there aside from my wife, and I was doing the drink check. What drink are you on? So by like 9 a.m., they were basically done. They're like 5 drinks in. They're going to bed.
So
Quite a day.
the
Quite a
company's
day.
doing totally fine.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's doing totally fine.
Totally fine. Totally fine. Yeah, but so that's a good thing. The week's been crazy. A lot of outages. Today, Cloudflare was down. Heroku was down earlier this week. There's a lot of like infrastructure craziness. I don't know what's going on. It's a lunar thing or what. But right now,
Let's
Riverside's
blame the
working.
tide
So we're
on our infrastructure problems.
all infrastructure all the time. But it's also been a really fun week. I was at YC Demo Day yesterday, which is why we are recording this a day late this week. Will was so kind to let me go and not take an hour away from Demo Day. I got to see all the demos. It was awesome.
Yeah, you throw some angel checks out there. Did you try and get in some of the
Not
hot
quite.
rounds?
Not quite. Not yet. Not yet. We'll see. I got to talk to him. I got to try all of the apps first. But instead of doing like a pure demo like I do at the beginning of these Friday flows, instead I'm going to just rapid fire through a few of the companies that I saw yesterday.
See what you saw.
Starting with this one. And some of these are just totally weird. Some of them have a theme to them. I'm just going to go through them. This one I thought was hilarious because I feel like it actually solves a problem of mine. Basically, you just text in a group text chat. You just throw this number in it, and it starts to give you suggestions on ways to solve some of your problems. Hey guys, where do you want to go tonight? I don't know. I like this. I like this. I like this. This like just jumps in as like a
Super
third party.
informative buddy.
Yeah, it's just a buddy. And like the best part is you don't download an app, you don't do anything. I think they nailed that medium, I guess. Like there's no friction in terms of like getting up and running with it. So I thought that was kind of cool. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, that's cool, especially if you think they can build out like an app marketplace on the back end,
Ooh.
maybe sell some ads through this, so you can get your local event, your pizzeria pushed up the rank of what to do. They're probably just using
Interesting.
GPT under the hood or something, but you can get some good. You can sell some rails into that for sure.
I like
it's
it.
Cool. I don't
I
love
like
the
it.
branding, but it's fine for the MVP. They shipped fast.
They have weeks to build these things, really. It's spectacular. I also love how there's so many like revolutionary products out there, but the first one I really want to focus on is how can it help me and my friends go to a bar? That's very, very important. Okay, new one, Willow. I wanted to throw this out because I talked about the Whisper app last week. I just, this is definitely incoming, right? Like a lot of apps are going to be built around voice. This is very similar to what I showed last week, but there's a few of these in YC. This isn't the only one, but I wanted to kind of throw this out.
That's wild. 1 hour every day. So you have a 25-hour day now. That's material.
I agree. That is very material. And then if you also get an hour back because you don't have to text your friends anymore about going to the bar, you have an extra hour at the bar. Look at that.
And I assume you can use Willow in WhatsApp. So
my God, we're making a super app, Will, you and I right now.
Let's build
Okay.
it.
Now to something a little bit more moonshot, if you will, a Cascade Space. These guys were super cool. They're building the Verizon for space. So I guess there's a bunch of connectivity issues you'd imagine when you are on a rocket ship, and so these guys are trying to kind of connect a lot of the dots. I'm no space specialist, so I don't really understand any of this, but Seems smart. I know
Interesting they
you
went
love
with the
space.
Verizon for space and not, the elephant in the room is that SpaceX also has a Verizon for space. Interesting the competition here.
Interesting.
Maybe in the world of space tourism,
I know
we'll
you love
need cell
space,
service
though.
up there. I love space.
You
Get
love
me to
space.
space any day. I think there's still a standing invite, right, from some of our friends in a space company to go up
Do you
and check it
remember
out
what
from up
the
there.
space company was called?
No, we'll have to come back to them though, because
Yeah,
hopefully they're still
I think
around.
they went. I think they went public via SPAC last year.
Oh
Anyway,
man,
we'll come back to them. Okay, Clado, whatever. I thought this was interesting because it's essentially deep research for people. So it's like background checks on people. You can use this
creepy.
for, yeah, I think. I mean, I could be
Can
wrong,
you type something
but
right into that box without signing up?
let's give it a go.
Live demo.
Let's see, people with weird degrees. Ooh, let's
I
see.
love a
SQL
product that has a
querying.
straight. I think there's a
Me
bit of a
too.
trend here as well, where in the AI land you can straight get one or two free goes before you sign up for the app. I think that's the way forward.
I agree.
I love it.
Let's see
I
what it
like that it's
comes up
showing
with.
you the query. It's showing you the reasoning mode
It's
happening.
deploying 1,500 agents right now. Do you believe that? I
It's
mean,
almost
if
it's
that's
almost
the
too round to be true, but
if that's the
sure.
truth, then
They're
without
threading it.
without signing up, oh, look at that. Curious why this person has a weird degree. Yes, has a weird degree.
Geneva. Second one is in Morocco. The third one is in Dover, New Hampshire. Then Singapore. Then Trinidad and Tobago. It's
Can
giving you a
somebody tell
nice.
me why these are weird degrees?
Where's the degree? Yeah,
I don't know.
I
Anyway,
don't know. It looks like it's pulling LinkedIn.
definitely, of course, it's pulling LinkedIn. Okay, well, Bill Davis, if you're watching this, you have a weird degree. Next, Delty.
Rapid fire.
Okay, this one. Okay, one of the reason I chose this is the two founders are just like so highly intelligent, which brings me to kind of a theme I saw there, which was a lot of these apps didn't seem like super innovative because it's all AI for this, cursor for this. Like on the outset, they're not super innovative, but the people behind the scenes, like the founders, it was very obvious that they're backing the founders. So for me, I'm like world's first AI staff engineer. Are you basically just saying like you're better than like the world's first junior engineer, right? Like I don't quite understand this, but the founders are like ex Google crazy people. Actually, one of the guys, Lalit, was somebody that I met at a previous talk. So he was the first person when I sat down and started watching the pitches. I saw him. I was like, oh, hey, you know that guy. Any thoughts
That's
here?
awesome.
This was kind of weird.
Yeah, I was listening to my favorite podcast, TBPN,
Oh,
yesterday,
yeah.
who were covering it with a live feed. So you had boots on the ground, they had boots on the ground. We're not competitive. We're trying to elevate the podcast format. And they had Gary Tan on to talk, who's the president of YC, and he had an interesting stat that he said that of everyone that comes through their cohorts, they see about 30% of teams actually pivoting from their initial idea during the batch. And sometimes, that happens towards the end. Maybe they've got 2 weeks before demo day, they need to get something out and they do a hard pivot. And they've actually seen some of the most successful companies actually come out of pivots. I think we'll talk about Scale AI later. I think they were a pivot. I think they had a game or a location-based app or something like that. Slack was a pivot. There's a whole list of pivots, and so they really do. To your point, I think they really back founder and founder fit over necessarily the product fit.
I totally agree. So I didn't actually see that interview, but I don't know if Gary is referring to all of the batches, but my assumption is this batch particularly had an insanely high rate of pivoting because so many of them talked about their revenue numbers going from 0 to 200K a year in 3 weeks. And so my guess is like a lot of them pivoted. I know we actually had a few founders in our office come pitch us these last few weeks. And I was like, how long have you been working on it? They're like, oh, we just launched yesterday. We pivoted like 3 times during the last 3 months. I'm like, God, I love it.
I
The
wonder if
vibe code is real.
right. There's so easy to get that MVP out. You can probably, if you join the batch, you can probably get 5 or 6 different MVP outs in the same few months that you're working on it, and see what really resonates and sticks with folks, rather than you're going super deep into one area, and if it doesn't work, then you kind of leave leave demo day without actually a product. Listening to customers, it will always be the number one reason for success. You've got to listen to what customers want and skate to where the puck's headed. And
Totally.
yeah, I love that.
Totally. Yeah, these guys actually came in and pitched us in our office. And they're also, some of them are ex-Greptile people. We love Greptile. This is it's actually, to me, I thought was insanely cool. So companies like Full Story or Post Hog, they have these sessions. You can kind of basically replay how your users are using your products. And so this company, Prism, is coming in and adding a layer on top of the sessions you're already recording with other products and analyzes those sessions. So imagine if you had a product manager or a QA engineer actually looking at every single session step by step, click by click, and being able to aggregate some of the themes you see from users. So a lot of companies like PostHog and other observability platforms have the idea of this, right? But they're very hard coded in a sense where you have to tell me every user that went from this page, click this button, went to this page, click this button, and bought a product. Whereas this company is just going to observe the actual true sessions and be able to give you a lot more context about those sessions. And so I think this actually opens up a lot of other products. I think like the ability to use sessions in aggregate can do a lot more things than just what they're doing now. But I'm curious to see where this goes.
Cool. I have nothing to say. I don't really get it, but I love that you're interested. I also love that you can tell that half their customers are other YC companies. They have one in here called Vibe Grade. I love that name for a
Vibe
company.
grade. Oh, look at that logo. Little winky face at the end. That's great.
Yes.
Oh, I
I
love it.
hope they raise the huge round at demo day, just off vibes
I hope
explicitly.
so. Look, I didn't even realize the guy moves as I move my mouse. See him? That's pretty fun. I'll invest for
Take
that.
my money.
Okay, this next one was amazing. What I loved about this one is everyone is doing, again, like some crazy, it's all like super technical, very technology forward for new industries. These guys are revolutionizing the car wash industry. And so what I loved about it is they just immediately came out with their revenue numbers, which were like pretty high. And also just it's one of the only things that I'm like, that seems like impossible to not succeed. You just have all of these customers that are using super archaic car wash systems. These guys are just coming in and doing it as like a robot, and they're taking, I think, 20% or something. So they're deploying these systems, just taking 20% cut from all of the like
So
gas
how does
stations
it
and stuff.
work?
I have no idea. I have no idea. They
They're
didn't actually
applying
show any.
robotics to the existing
I guess I don't know.
architecture.
It just seemed like one of those things. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's like a pretty old industry that you could probably make money on. A lot of people just go put $20 or like $40 to get their car washed. Like so, detailing takes like it's $100. So I don't know. I feel like it's got legs. That was interesting.
We're biased for those tackling archaic industries, brick and mortar industries. I think
Yes,
that's where the money's at. Go keep doing it. Let's keep dragging ourselves into the future. We need high
yes.
tech on every main street, every car park. That's where the money's at. Let's get us everywhere.
All right. Two more quick things. Another theme, chief of staff for X or AI chief of staff for X. I saw a lot of companies that were really floating that idea by. So there's like chief of staff for CTO, just like general chief of staff AI systems. I think that's becoming a very popular theme as other technical parts of the industries are becoming automated through AI. The management and the finding of specific data for leadership is becoming, I guess, like is the next frontier here. So I saw a lot of those. I'm actually very excited to try them. There's a few of them. I forget what they're called, or maybe Donna. I think Donna was one. That was an interesting one. So I'm definitely going to try a few, and I'll let you know. The other quick tidbit I have for you is I'm sitting next to a guy who is an investor in the CIA's investment fund. Did you know the CIA has an investment fund? They have a
The
venture arm.
CIA is a CVC. That's amazing.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, it was pretty wild. And so they are obviously mission driven, but I've never heard of this. I
They're
looked it up
investing into
afterwards.
startups that are building exploding pens and
Yeah, basically.
Aston Martins with ejector seats and all of the
Yes,
above. That's
it's
amazing.
yes. They are the producers of Austin Powers. Is really what happened. They claim so they are mission driven. They do need to have a return, but they're
Mission Impossible driven.
okay. We should just move on. This is getting too ridiculous. Okay, we're gonna move on to Scale AI. Shocking, crazy news this week. Meta taking a 49% stake in Scale AI. There was rumors they were investing 10, 15 billion. We didn't really know earlier in the week. I, in a chat with Will and a few people, said, Meta's buying them. And Will did not believe me. Sure enough, next day, who's right? This guy. This guy's right. Yeah, you kick it off, Will. What are your thoughts here? This is,
You
I mean,
called
this
it.
is
You
like
called it.
truly, like, this is actually insane. Like, I don't think people understand, like, the implications of this. It's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I think it's super cool, and congrats to Alex Wang and to a pivot out of YC. Truly magnificent outcome for the entire team, including Alex, who is 28 or something. This is amazing outcome. I think there's a few pieces to this. Obviously, I think Meta are behind the frontier in terms of what they're able to do, and it feels like a lot of the issue is that they are losing talent to some of the other players. Maybe they're not paying enough, or people don't want to go and necessarily work on open source or whatever it might be. This helps leapfrog a little bit of that, and so bringing in a team. Alex has built an incredible hardcore team of some of the world's best AI folks, specifically on the data side. We believe that data is super important for a lot of things, and it's massively important for AI. And so bringing that team in-house makes a lot of sense. Obviously, if Scale is working with a whole bunch of frontier model companies, there's a little bit of how does that work for a competition perspective. They'll certainly be prioritizing this now main account. But I think the bigger part of this is I think they're spending billions of dollars to bring Alex in-house. So actually Alex is now leaving Scale to run the superintelligence efforts at Meta. So they're paying $15 billion for Alex is how I see it. And it's kind of in trend. We saw OpenAI pay $6 billion for Johnny Ive, and there's a little
Yes.
bit of dialogue online that there's how much is like a superstar truly worth? There's very few companies, like if you're Google or you're Apple or something else, there's very few companies that are going to offer up like a $10 billion pay packet to an employee. Like
Yeah.
but there are people that are worth that, and these companies aren't set up to offer that kind of like outrageous pay packet to like an individual. But what you see here is absolutely this happening. Johnny Ive was worth 6 billion. Alex is worth 15 billion. These are massive moves for talent, and it truly shows how much they're spending. I think Meta's spending 50 billion or something this year on capex, so is 15 billion for data truly insane? It actually feels kind of like right-sized in a way. Yeah, what are your take?
Yeah, I mean, I was reading into this a little bit. You can also look at like the acquisition of WhatsApp and Instagram. I know these are like totally not in the same realm. Those are to acquire users, but in terms of the cost, 15 billion. I think Instagram was 1 billion and WhatsApp was 10 billion, 5 billion, I don't remember, but those numbers seemed enormous and just totally ridiculous back then. Now you're like, yeah, of course, that's like free. It's like basically paid for itself immediately. Everyone is saying this is the same thing. It seems like a massive sticker shock, but in the grand scheme of things, this is like an absolute no-brainer for Meta
You think
to
they'll look
bring
back
on.
and be like, this is as obvious as an Instagram? You called it immediately this weekend in the group chat.
I have thought of this before, and I think I've even talked to you about it. Where I was like, I'm surprised Scale isn't being courted by an OpenAI. I thought OpenAI was going to try to take a swing at this like a year ago. So I was maybe they did. Maybe there's some backstory that we don't know about, but it seems logical from like a competitive perspective. I think it's the right move for Meta. What does this mean for the other companies? That is the absolute mystery. Also, what does it mean for Scale as a company? It's still a company. Like it's 49% owned for reasons that are Meta probably wants to own 100% of it. Alex is probably okay with that, but because of legal issues, that's probably not going to work out. But what does it mean for the company and their customers is very unclear. I'd be curious. Maybe we'll have a follow up on this another day.
I love it. Yeah, great news and truly a successful outcome for
Yeah.
a generational founder.
Awesome. Finally, continuing on the foundation models and the AI natives, there was some news that in aggregate they have all surpassed $15 billion in revenue this year, or I guess in a year. Is it a year, 1 year? Will, you brought this to my attention.
Yeah,
So
can you share the
Yeah,
screen? Have you got
yeah,
the little image?
yes.
It's a great image. I think it's annual because OpenAI is now confirmed to surpass $10 billion in revenue. Yeah, get us a little zoom in on that.
Um, okay, yes. So a nice up and to the right, up into the 15B mark. And let's see, it looks like OpenAI is occupying a very, very chunky piece of that.
Healthy piece of that.
Very chunky. I mean, I know. So how would you even add like Meta to this though? Like they're not generating straight revenue, right? Like they're not charging for it. But I wonder what
Yeah,
they're
well, I think the point of this article is they're talking about AI native, and we've
yeah.
seen a few of these written that like there's never been as quick a acceleration on revenue than there has been for AI native. You see cursors on there. It looks very small in this graph, but your cursor was started like 2 years ago, and it's now a 600 million ARR run rate or something insane now. So these are insane numbers that people are putting up. Obviously, OpenAI are putting up an incredible number. They went from like 3 billion less than a year ago to 10 billion today, like absolutely dominating. And I think that's what's got people flooding to all of this. I think what's super interesting is so this is showing you the graph of what 6 or 7 groups in color. You can see the drop off like pretty quickly for like not even being able to register like how much Glean's revenue is. It's tiny, but all of these are valued at like billions. So like actually the market cap on this graph is insane. And then the bit that has stuck out to me, which is incredibly crazy, is the other is 15 others of that slither, and it has them written down there as well. That's like the who's who of who's raised serious rounds, yet aren't
Yeah.
even registering in terms of revenue compared to these other folks. So Harvey AI is in here, Clay, Cohere, Sierra AI, Run Rate, Mistral out of France. Like that's an insane list of,
Yeah.
companies worth collectively hundreds of billions of dollars of raised capital. And then, so it definitely shows that the power law is true, right? It's existing. I don't know if this means it's a winner take all. I think we think the pie is going to grow and it's going to be massive and it's going to be big enough for everyone to get theirs. But yeah, it does put up looks like today at least like a little bit of a risk if you've got some of these companies at huge valuations and they're not even registering on this chart. I think that's pretty interesting. But certainly the growth of AI native has been sort of crazy in its
Yeah. I think also, I apologize. I didn't actually read the article, so I didn't realize it was just the AI native. This makes a lot more sense. But what's crazy about this compared to like back in 2020 or like 2018 or around that era, you saw these similar graphs with different types of companies, but it was always market cap. It was never revenue, right? And so I think what's super interesting now is the amount of revenue that is truly being created. Like the companies are willing to pay money finally for like these B2B, B2C systems. And that's actually another theme that I saw at YC this week is at the demo day, I saw a lot of them had quite a bit of revenue very rapidly. And that's because they're able to actually sign these deals with B2B companies, typically for the demo day this week, but they're able to actually get a 20, 30, $40,000 deal with some of these bigger companies to try them out. And that's like kind of unheard of. I feel like back in the day, even at YC demo day, you were talking way more about like ramping customer usage or data retention or whatever you want to call it. But it was very rarely revenue. Now it's very revenue
Yeah,
driven.
I remember that. Like back in the heyday when I was at Zenefits, it was the big number that you would splash out there was number of employees. That's definitely today not something you boast about. It was like, oh, we now have a 1,500 employees. That was like, wow, that's a successful company. And
Wow.
it's not at all. compared to what we're seeing here. I think,
Yeah,
yeah, at the time, Zenefits was boasting that they were the fastest B2B SaaS company to ever grow to 100 million, or that was their like ambition or something like that. Any of these companies on this graph are making a mockery of that as a goalpost today. And you keep seeing that. You're right. I think in the world of AI, the takeoff of revenue has never been faster. I think that's exactly what you're talking about. You're exactly right. I think the quality of revenue is what this is going to come down to as well for these companies. I haven't seen their like cohorts for churn and who's continuing on these plans. We know obviously that OpenAI is extremely sticky and they have really good retention rates. But for a lot of these other plans that might be quite easy to sign up for and to use and then to disappear from, I don't know what their retention's like. So I think quality of revenue is going to be a factor. As easy as you make it to start using a product, you're probably also equally as easy to leave a product. I think I've signed up and left a Mid-Journey as an example, like 4 or 5 times. I just like turn off my sub if I'm not using it, and then I might come back and use it again for a month, and then turn it off a month. I get usage out of it when I want to use it, but I don't have like a regular use case for it. So
totally
yeah, it
agree.
would be interesting to see that.
Totally agree. Okay, well, that wraps us up for this week's Friday Flow. But before I go, I must say, please subscribe, smash the like button, continue watching, do more things. Friday Flow at your service. Till next week. Thanks, guys.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.